Okay, now this is about not the website VOACAP, although this is on that website, this software, but this is for the software to run on your computer. And I like actually having stuff that will work offline in case we have a power outage or some natural disaster or other kind of things. Um, so basically, you go to the website where you would do normally do your VOACAP calculations, and you click on download from Greg Hand's site right here, and just click on the latest. This gives you uh, uh, a bunch of different. When you install it, you'll get a bunch of these different programs. And like it says, the file that you want is probably the last file in the directory. Uh, there is some good information, but it takes kind of a lot of digging around to like get you up and going. So that's kind of the purpose of this. So this is the desktop icon that you end up getting. Uh, the two that I'm going to show is VOACAP and VOA area. So VOACAP would just be like your point to point, and VOA area would be an area map. So let's go ahead and get into this real quick. So let's click on this. Um, this was kind of small. This is your map calculation size. These modern computers are pretty powerful. So if you do, you could do 61 by 61, and that seems to be plenty. Um, a lot of these settings were pretty good. The parameters that you is like what you want to plot. You can pick several, but you'll have to do a pull down to pick which one you want actually displaying on the map at any given time. My favorite two would be relative time availability, percentage of the time. So that's kind of what you see. And WinLink when you're doing calculations of what WinLink stations to connect with. But this is my favorite, signal to noise ratio. So that'd be like something you see on reverse beacon network or PSK. The PSK applications. Like PSK Finder, I believe it is, where you can go call CQ or on FT8 and then go see how strongly you were heard in other places in the world. So that's what that window is about. Um, Short path, um, the coefficients I'm choosing, you can use either one of these. Oslo, this is the one they recommend, and I've kind of fooled around with it. They do give a little bit different results. This is where the transmitter is located. This is the center of the map, basically. And then this is the little interface that tells you if you're doing different frequencies at once. Um, I'm doing it as a batch. This is the month of the year. So we're in May right now. This is your current sunspot number. Today it's at 72. And I'm actually interested to see how 10 meters is doing today. So I'm going to do 72. The time right now is, let's see, 14, 1450 plus, so it's 20, let's do hour 21. And the frequency, I'm going to change it to 28. I want to do some of the other ones too, so you can see multiple bands. We can kind of poke around in there. So let's do 25 megahertz for 12 meters, and let's do 15 meters as well, because it's a pretty good day for propagation. And change all these sunspot numbers to be the same. That's pretty much it. Now I'm going to show you, this will do actually 3 different calculations. You can only put one row, and that will work, fill in that information. Now system, I changed this a little bit. I changed for the required signal noise ratio just to be 1, because I do a lot of CW, and that should be fine. I didn't really mess with anything else here. I haven't messed with this. The transmitting antenna, I chose isotropic antenna. So this is where you fix that, go into samples, and you get all these different antenna choices. You can look those over. I'm not going to go into detail, but it says for isotrope, you can adjust the gain, and I find that's like you can kind of calibrate it. So I find that this works best when I put a -10. It seems to match my predictions, but any other type of antenna that doesn't seem to work. Um, and then the power, so it's in kilowatts. So I wanted to know what 5 watts would do because I was matching it with Whisper, my Whisper stuff. So 0.005, and click accept. So that looks good. And the RX antenna is just a dipole, and it's oriented at 0 degrees, and it listed the gain right there is 2 dB. That's 2 dB over isotropic. So I'm figuring that's the most common antenna that's out there. So once that's all set up, you're ready to actually run, and it basically it's kind of this is Fortran, so it's probably putting out some kind of punch card things, but they're virtual. Don't worry about it. You don't actually need punch cards. So run, and then go into calculate, and then so this save, you're not saving into a specific file. What this does is kind of a wildcard, and I'll show you what that means here in a second. So you could just do this if you want to name your own output file, but I'm going to do it automatically. And here it's running through all these calculations. It's doing 61 by 61 calculations for each band. So that's done. Now you have fresh data in there. Then you go to run and do plot results. Now this is where you get to choose the files. Now, if you just plotted one row in the band settings and the frequency, you could just click on this open temp.vg1. That's your output file. But say I want to choose, I'm going to have 3 different ones. You can see this just ran. This is what time it is so that we know that this is a fresh file. This would be 21 meters. This would be 21 megahertz. This would be 25 megahertz. This would be 28 megahertz. So let's go ahead and open that. Double click. Now we're in the plot screen. So you can either plot to paper. You don't need to change much. You can change your layers and stuff like that, and like where all your different cutoffs are. And we're doing signal noise ratio. If you picked some other stuff, you would have options to like pull down and plot the different things. But I'm just going to say plot the window. So there's the only parameter that I picked, which is signal to noise ratio. Now you can see where you actually stand a chance to make contacts. So if you click over here, it looks like the band's pretty dead, at least with this 72 sunspot number that I put in there. The sunspots are a little higher today. I'm using the ESSN, which is derived from ionosound data, and I find that that's a little bit better. It gives me more reliable results. The band was open this morning. It was open into Florida and Georgia. Let's say at about 8 o'clock. So let's say 1,500 hours. So let's go ahead and see if this matches that. I should see this little crescent like go into Florida and south in North Carolina. That is if this works pretty good, but it's not bomb proof. And this is because the map settings I picked. You could pick how much east or westing and northing and east, west, and north, how your grid works. I fiddled around with it, and I think I plotted my map center is different than my transmitter center. Oh no, I don't think it is on this plot. But anyways, let's go back and take a look at that. See, I'm about 9 minutes into it. I don't want to mess with this. Don't want to keep my video around 10 minutes. So, but just for the sake. So let's go back in here and change it. Groups. Let's change the time to, what did I say? Let's do 1500 UTC. Run, calculate, Since I'm looking at 10 meters, I just care. That's right. Plot results, file, and just go to open temp. And then plot to window. And what's going on here? Parameter, signal noise ratio. Yeah, it looks like nothing was open at that time. Huh, okay. Well, that's that. Um, and hope that you find this useful. Go ahead and give it a like if you do. And that's all of that.